guys, Sarah here from Highland Haven Australian Shepherds and Highland Haven Dog Training, and welcome to Season 4, Episode 6, 7?
Wow.
Of Dog for Thought. Joining me is my co-host, daughter, and dog trainer extraordinaire, Sophie.
Hi, everyone.
What's going on, Soph? Give us an update. Well, we weren't around last week.
I know,
so
we weren't around
got 2
last
weeks of
week.
updates.
Yes, 2 weeks of updates. Well, Gus has been doing amazing. We're going to talk a lot about him during this podcast again, kind of give you guys an update on how he's doing. But overall, he's a lovely dog, and we've decided that he's one of those dogs that genetically, he was always going to be perfect. Like, he's genetically just wired to be a good boy, which is really good for him. Our dogs are doing great. Nothing crazy new.
Fergus went home.
The
corgi.
Betty went home.
Betty went home, the Shih Tzu.
And Dutch went home, my boy. But he was only here for boarding. But yeah, there's not too much to update, which is kind of a good thing.
Yeah, so Fergus went home. He came to us with some resource guarding and some other anxious behaviors or behaviors with an anxious
twist on them.
Whatever. From whatever. I don't know. My brain isn't working because we got started late on this podcast and now I feel rushed. Yeah, so he's been doing really great. We've gotten some updates on him and his corgi sister. And then sassy Betty White went home. We've gotten some updates on her. She's sort of pushed back a little bit on her owners. That's really kind of funny.
Yeah, and the pushback that she's done, we haven't seen that behavior. It's always interesting when we send a dog home and then they're like, oh, these behaviors are happening. And you're like, she never showed any of these behaviors. I don't know what's going on. And we have to kind of game plan. It's not abnormal, but it's just strange because usually we can kind of catch behaviors before they happen.
I don't know if it's strange. I think it's unpredictable because it is because of a previous relationship, right? A previous behavior that had been going on with the owners, and since we're new people and it's a new environment, they don't display that behavior sometimes to us, so it's hard to, first of all, we rarely see it, and then it's a surprise when the owner says they do this, that, and the other, and you're like, really? They didn't do any of that here.
Yeah. Well, and on top of it, because we just have experience doing this with so many different dogs that we go into it having a pretty clean slate and not tolerating bullshit immediately right off the bat. So we extinguish things before we even see them get to a point where, with your own dogs, including us, it's like you're going to see certain behaviors because they live with you and they know what they can get away with you because they live with you. Where like when we have training dogs with us, it's pretty much a strictly a friendship. It's not really like a family kind of dynamic.
It's a different emotional attachment, for sure. But Betty's been doing right. Betty White has been doing right. Betty has been doing well. The owners have pretty good instincts. And so she's been doing good. So we're in sort of a lull. This happens once in a while where we have like a week where we have very few or no dogs. In this case, we've just had Gus for the last few days. Yep. And then dogs start arriving tomorrow again. And will be fuller, and he'll have more to play with. So he's been playing with our dogs, and doing a lot of walks with Twiggy. He walks with
Twiggy every morning, which he's been doing amazing at. I don't even hold his leash. I have my treat pouch, and I attach both of their leashes to my treat pouch, and walk them with no hands. And he's so biddable, and just catches on to things so quick that I just say move over. And he just understands that he needs to move to the side that he is assigned. And it's just amazing.
Yeah, he's a good dog. So we can talk about, you and I have talked about regarding Gus, how we're just amazed at what as overall, like, soup to nuts good dog he is. Which is unusual, right? When you get a dog in from a situation like this. Because usually a dog that's been put in a situation like tied out to a barn, it has been tied out because there's some behavioral issues that the owner doesn't know how or doesn't want to deal with. So they deal with it by just getting rid of the dog from the house or the daily life. That sort of wasn't the case here. They had some issues where they felt they couldn't keep him inside, but it doesn't sound like he was put out there for behavioral issues.
It was, I think, from what I was understanding is it was mainly for like exciting peeing. So like he would get excited seeing new people and piddle on the ground, and they just didn't like him peeing in the house, which, you know, he would grow out of over a period of time. I don't really see it as a problem, but, well, you know, for some people,
that's neither tough. Here nor there. So he was out there, and usually dogs like that come to us with a significant issue that we have to unwind and try to figure out so that they can go to a new home and not do that thing that annoys people. He has one vice, basically. Well, 1.5, let's say. So the actual vice he has is he does not like his collar being, I want to say grabbed, but grabbed is too hard of a word.
I think
he doesn't like to be led by the collar, especially to a place where he doesn't want to go. So for me, it tends to be in the evenings after we've watched some TV together. It tends to be in the evening because at the end of our watching TV, I had to put him away for the night. And, you know, I get it. He doesn't want to go away. Especially the last couple of nights, we've been snuggling on the couch watching TV, just the two of us. So I get it. He doesn't want to go away. He wants to stay with me. And he's growled pretty significantly. Like the growl is it's loud and it's scary sounding. Like it really surprises me every time. So I've done a couple of different things. I mean, basically my thought is let's just not lead him by the collar. And that's basically what I've been doing. But, you know, you forget because that's just such a natural thing.
And, you know, wherever he goes, as much as we're going to advocate for, you know, his pros and cons, people are going to do what people do. So he needs to kind of get used to being grabbed by the collar and not escalating.
Right.
Even when he doesn't want to do something. So we've been slowly kind of working on that.
I mean, initially I was just never touching his collar in that way and just clipping a leash on. But then I took the collar off. I think that's what the last couple of nights has been a struggle for me. I took his collar off because the chain was making his beautiful clean mane gray from the chain of the martingale. So I was looping him, and he was getting backed against a wall or in a corner because he's moving away from me. And I'm like, I'm ready to go to bed, dude. So this morning, when I actually did the morning shift this morning, so when we got to that point this morning, what I did was I saw that my mistakes in that, which is continuing to put pressure on him. Now he's backed against the corner, and I'm moving in and putting more pressure on him. So I want to relieve that pressure. So when I said it's time to go, you know, go away or whatever, and he moved into the corner, what I did was back up and then call him to me in the middle of the floor and ask him for a sit, and then just looped him and walked him right into his enclosure. So, and there was zero problems with that. He had no problems. He wasn't upset. It worked well. So, you know, sometimes you have to figure out what part of sometimes all the time, you have to figure out what part of your behavior is eliciting a response, positive or negative. So for a dog, like for any dog really, that kind of pressure and being pushed against, you know, psychologically being pushed against a wall or in the corner, classic, right?
Yeah.
And cornered dog will bite.
He very much is, when he escalates. And it's interesting because with other dogs, what we've seen so far is he does everything to not escalate. So it's definitely something that is just triggering for him.
I mean, it's easy to figure where he's developed this.
Yeah.
Very easy for, do we even have to say it out loud? I mean, you know, obviously this is muscle memory for him, right?
Yeah.
So when he goes to his new home, we're just going to recommend that he drag a leash around for at least a week, so that when we do need to move him, guide him by the collar, we're just picking up a leash. And he has, interestingly, zero problem with that, which is why it's very easy for your mind to go to, forget. There's obviously a muscle memory around the grabbing of the collar and leading by the collar. Obviously, to us, that seems like he's got some bad experiences over that. And being led by a leash, he's got at least no discernible bad memories.
I mean, even like going in the crate, like we had him for a period of time, like for a couple of days, we had him just like in a crate in the enclosure, just because when he goes to his new home, he's going to need to be crated for a period of time. We wanted to make sure that he was desensitized to the crate and had a good experience in it, which he did phenomenal.
Amazing. Yeah. Like so zero problems in the crate.
It's crazy because, I mean, this is the one negative thing. Like, he's great with other dogs. He's great with new people. He's great with men, which is, you know,
unusual.
Very unusual. He's great leash walking. He's not super leash reactive. He can be a little funny with movement or weird noises. So like a good example would be like a bus or one of those really big trucks that make that shh sound. He does not like that. And
so that's that when I said that he has 1.5 vices, that this would be the half vice. I don't really count that because it's so breed specific.
Yes.
Right. Yes. It's so natural for border collies to be responsive to movement, especially movement coming towards you. Right. Their trigger is I need to back you off.
Yes, exactly. Right? But he's done really well. Like when I walk him in the morning and there's cars and stuff, I used to just hold the leash a little tighter depending on like the narrowness of the road or what side he was on. But now I just let him figure it out on his own, and I've been working on him looking to me for directions. He's very independent when it comes to doing things, so it's kind of hard, which is also interesting because I thought he would be more glued on to me with eye contact than an Aussie, but he's actually pretty independent and he figures out things on his own. And if you help guide him to figure out things, he actually gets more frustrated than you just letting him figure it out on his own.
Yeah, that's the other quirk he has. I wouldn't call this a vice or anything bad, but we were talking about this the other day, that when he, in the middle of the day, when I ask him to go in his enclosure at the end of a session, normally what I do with new dogs, and we've discussed this, right? Ideally, we want every dog that's here to know where their enclosure is. And when we open the door and call their name, go in willingly. I think last time I talked about me, I always throw cookies in, you don't.
Yeah.
So he knows his enclosure. He knows he's supposed to go in. In the middle of the day, he doesn't seem to have the same sort of issues as at night. So I call him, and as he's coming towards me, like moving towards me to go into the enclosure, what I do with all the dogs is as soon as they start to move forward me, I naturally mark it. Good job, right? And that in almost every other case will make a dog continue to make that forward movement. Oh, I am doing good. So they keep, they lean into it. They go faster. They continue to move towards you or do whatever behavior that they're already doing. You're encouraging them, you're marking it, you're asking them to continue. For Gus, as soon as you mark it, he stops, turns around, goes the other way, which is really weird. Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I suspect heavily that is a specific to border collies.
Yeah, I think so.
Because of the way they work. So when you imagine like seeing a border collie work, you say, whatever, way to me, they come around to, I don't know whether that's left or right, but they come around, right? And you say there, and they're supposed to stop and lay down. Or you say there, lay down, or just lay down, and they're supposed to stop and lay down. And then you say, come by, which is one way, or way to me, which is the other way, right? And they're supposed to get up and then listen to that instruction. And then you're using your voice again and saying,
you're marking
there.
You're marking the stop. You're not marking.
When you verbalize, you're asking them to stop.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if that is what we're seeing so what I did was I stopped marking it, and I found if I'd called him and I opened the door of his enclosure and called him and told him, time to go to bed, as he's moving towards her, I just stand still and I don't say anything. And 9 times out of 10, he will continue by me and go right into the enclosure, and I give him a cookie and shut the door and walk away. It's hard for me because I am so habituated to continually marking that recall. We've talked about that ad nauseum, right? The recall needs continual marking until the dog gets to you to keep their attention to you. I find that with this dog, as soon as you do that, it ruins it.
Yeah, it does. It's interesting. And it's interesting that we don't always talk about things together until later on. So like I noticed that was a thing early on, and I just immediately stopped marking it until he got into his enclosure, and I never really thought about it. I was just like, oh, well, this is what he specifically needs. And then you brought it up, and I was like, yeah, I noticed that. I just thought that was just a him thing, but the more we've talked about it, the more we're like, no, this is like a border collie thing.
Yeah, I think that it's really a genetic predisposition, which is really fascinating. We don't work with a lot of border collies. They're not a super popular breed, thank God. So we don't work with a lot of them. And when you have an Aussie, a lot of people think, well, you have Australian Shepherds. What's the difference? There's a world of difference between an Aussie and a border collie, not just in intensity level, but in all kinds of ways.
And I was really excited to work with him because we have never really worked with a border collie. And so I thought that it would be like an Aussie on steroids. So I thought I would like them even more because I like that eye contact. I like that drive. I like fast learning, and toy enthusiasm. Like I love all these things about border collies. What I thought. Turns out it's not really my bag, which is interesting because they're very independent, and problem solve. They need to problem solve on their own.
Better more than
Aussies do.
Aussies, yes.
Where like with Twiggy, if I'm teaching her a skill, I have to break it down very small in metabolizing bites, but I can teach her a skill within a day, right? With him, I have to give him an instruction and then let him figure it out on his own.
Which is tricky because he has to be motivated to do
exactly.
That. So you got to find the motivation first. How am I going to continually motivate him to try to problem solve?
And it's interesting, he's not food motivated. He likes pets, but he's not motivated by pets or like...
He appreciates them, but that's not a driving factor.
No. And the thing with toys, which I mean, I'm more at motivation verbally and with food. So it's kind of taught me a different way on motivation. And it's really hard to motivate a dog with toys because it's like crack. And I don't really like using it on when I motivate Twiggy with toys because she gets so wound up that she can't think outside the box.
You're constantly injecting energy into your training session.
Yeah.
And the skill you're working on may require more calmness than energy. And so that makes toys hard. And
even like luring. So a luring exercise would be like, let's say I'm trying to get Twiggy in a heel. I'll use a treat and I'll lure her with the treat to get her body to move a specific way to get her into a heel. You can't really do that with a toy. It's really hard. And he's also not into tug. He specifically wants throwing toys. So it's really hard to lure him to
and
do
then reward him with a throw. And he doesn't always bring it back.
No.
Or he brings it back and won't give it to you because, we haven't really worked on this. I know Denise Fenzi actually was teaching her new border collie how to be food motivated. She was literally using play to make him food motivated. So using play as a reward for taking food. And then eventually the food itself becomes the reward, which is hilarious.
So when you told me about this, today I actually started implementing it on our walk where I've actually done the opposite, which is we will stop walking until you give me a behavior I'm looking for. So Twiggy is a really good, what do you call it when another dog's a good example?
Social facilitator.
Yeah, so Twiggy's a great social facilitator because when I stop, she knows as soon as I stop, she has to come and sit and then she gets a reward for it, right? He doesn't get it. He wants to go, 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 go. So when we stop, he has to think and I just sit there and wait until he decides to look at me, or I will back up and take away the motivation of going forward until he decides to come and sit. And then I give him a treat. And then he takes it in his mouth and spits it out. And then I wait until he picks it back up off the ground and eats it. And then we can continue on the walk. So I'm trying to
it's
so hard.
It's just a funny concept to have to teach a dog to see food as a reward, a motivator, right?
Yeah.
But it can be done. We're not keeping this dog. He's not our dog. We're not going to be doing like high level stuff with him. So that's a whole project in and of itself, but bits at a time when the opportunity arises is good for him.
Yeah. And I also want, him to be able to take treats when we're walking, and because I know people aren't going to see his reactivity to cars and mark it the way we're marking it. Where like I can completely avoid him reacting at vehicles, but the average owner is not going to be able to do that, and the way you do that is by treats, and that's much easier to teach a human to do rather than all the fine-tuned details that I just know how to do off the top of my head.
This particular segue we're doing here, right? We're talking about making food the motivator. I posted a video yesterday regarding me taking Deacon to the vet. Did you read it? You probably didn't read it.
I didn't read it. I just watched it. Yeah.
So Deacon is not keen on strangers touching him, although he's mellowed a lot with age. He's very, very good at the vet because he has been taught to be quite food motivated. So he's easy to control at the vet in a very positive way. Doesn't mean he enjoys it. He doesn't enjoy going to the vet, and he does find it stressful, and that's okay. But the stress is minimal, and he's able to hold his emotions in check. That's my goal. I can't ask you to not feel. I just want you to be able to metabolize your feelings so that your behavior can stay under control, right? So, not feel so, your emotions are not so out of control that then they manifest in poor behavior, right? So basically what I wrote was, how do I handle a dog who doesn't like to be touched by strangers when I take them to the vet? How do I do it? I do it through food. Now, I didn't have to teach him to be food motivated. He was food motivated all on his own. However, you do have to practice using food as a regulatory device in other circumstances. You just can't say, I never use it in everyday life. I never practice this. But when I go to the vet now, I'm shoving food in their mouths, and why aren't they behaving? Right? Why isn't it working? Because it's something you have to habituate your dog to in other circumstances. So for Deacon and all of our dogs, they get plenty of treats when they walk, right? Particularly for Deacon, when he sees other dogs, he always gets a food reward. And it's completely changed his mindset regarding other dogs. Now he sees other dogs as, oh, that's a walking cookie for me, right? He doesn't see them really as, I don't know what's in his head. I don't know if he ever really saw them as, something that upsets him. But now his behavior when he sees other dogs indicates that he sees them as a means to an end, which is food.
Yeah, he associates them with food. So
when he sees another dog, rather than having this big adrenaline rush and reacting, now he sees another dog and he gets that dopamine. Ooh, food is coming. And of course, dopamine's at the highest right before you get your reward, right? So the dopamine is increasing. He gets the reward, then it decreases, right?
Yeah, which is also, I just want to make a point with that, is a lot of people are like, oh, well, when I walk my dog, I give my dog like a big treat, right? So like, you have like those huge milk bones that someone gives their dog, and ironically, breaking that milk bone up into a bunch of little pieces, each time they get a piece, they get a dopamine release. So it doesn't matter the quantity of what your dog is getting. It's how frequently can I get it, and how much dopamine can I release doing it. The actual physically eating it actually does not give them the same amount of dopamine as it does before you give it to them.
Right before they get it.
So
right?
a lot
the
of the time,
anticipation building up to the reward, getting the reward, and then it drains very quickly after
So if
that.
I'm walking past a dog with Twiggy, who is much better with her leash reactivity, but if a dog's like flipping out, a lot of the times I will have my hand in the treat bag and be slowly giving it to her rather than rapidly giving her food, because the build up of her getting the treat is going to first of all hyperfixate on me that I'm going to get a treat soon, and then I'm going to feel better. And a lot of times I'll wait until after we pass the reactive dog and then give her a bunch of treats, because that's where the dopamine hits, and that's where I want it to after we pass the scary thing. Which I think people don't always think. They think the food itself.
They don't think about this at all, because why would they? They're not dog trainers.
True.
So Deacon, going back to Deacon at the vet, we practice food as reward, food as a regulator for when I walk him, and also when people come over, right? We usually do a scatter feeding. We usually toss a bunch of cookies on the floor. when people come in the house, so he can settle quickly. He has certainly mellowed with age.
And being neutered.
And being neutered, yeah, I guess. Certainly with the other dogs. So practicing that throughout the year in circumstances that I have to do anyway, walk, people come in the house. When I take him to the vet once a year, I don't practice the vet. We don't practice it. What we're practicing is the process of that he is used to using for regulation, right? Mm-hmm. So we can go in the vet. I gonna give him a lot of treats, and it's the little one bite, swallow, you're gone. Little. Sometimes they swallow them so much that they end up coughing them up completely unchewed. And if you watch the video, it's very short. I'm giving him cookies. He's quite alert because he hears stuff going on outside the door. He's quite stressed. I mean, that is a form of stress, but it's manageable. He's not whining. He's not moving around. He's not jumping. He's not even panting. He's alert because I think there was a puppy down the hall who was screaming. They were doing something. Probably nothing. It was probably a Frenchie puppy. So he's quite alert. And then at one point he does stand up and sort of bump me, like looking for reassurance. I scratch his head and give more cookies. So, the vets will tend to give a dog a cookie when they come, like at the end of the thing. Oh, you want a cookie? Here you go. And I mean, that's nice and everything, but that's not going to make them feel differently about the experience. It really has to be a method that you habituate prior and regularly, so that when something like that happens, you have something to lean on. And the dog can go, okay, I know. It's like we talked about when Twiggy was in the vet that time. She was so anxious and you started giving her commands, right? Find something that they can focus on and regulate through these stressful things that we can't avoid, non-negotiables.
I have two things to say. First thing is since we're talking about Twiggy, when I take her to the vet, and I'm giving her commands, I don't correct her for the commands I'm giving her. So if I'm specifically working on sits and downs and stays, it's to make her feel better. I'm not going to correct her if she doesn't do it right. So like if we were at home and I'm doing sits and downs and just like playing around with her, I'm going to be more stricter because we're at home in a comfortable environment. But since we're in a stressful environment and she's using this as like a coping mechanism, I don't correct her if I tell her down and then she immediately gets up from the down because she's stressed out and is looking for guidance. So like the whole time when I took her to the vet not that long ago and was asking sits and downs, I was just asking it because I know it makes her feel better. I wasn't correcting her for doing it not perfect because it's a self-regulation. Secondly, every time we do a go home lesson, I'm going to quote Fergus, since that's our most recent go home lesson and we talked about it a lot, is making sure you can do these skills in the home environment where it is a safe space, where you're focusing and asking them to do tasks like sits and downs, and giving them treats during quote unquote stressful situations. So Fergus, he lives in an apartment complex, and every single time he hears noise, people walking by the door in the apartment complex, he gets anxious and then ends up running at the door and then running to the window, and it would wind him up, and then he would like redirect on his sister. So we worked on, if you master him self-regulating in the apartment, when you go out in the world, if it's at the vet, if it's walking, if it's going by loud machinery, you have a baseline of communication with your dog. And I think that's morally what we're saying when we go to the vet is create the communication in a comfortable environment. So then when you go to a stressful environment, they have communication with you.
They have something to lean on.
Yeah.
They have something to help them regulate. Mm-hmm. So that's why we're able to take all of our dogs to the vet, and they have a varied comfort level with being handled by strangers, which a vet, even though we've gone to our vet for 15 years, he's a stranger to them. Mm-hmm. And the vet is naturally a stressful environment. They don't know what's about to happen.
And it smells scary.
Sure. So it's completely normal for them to be stressed and anxious. I wonder about a dog who goes to the vet is like really chill. I wonder about those dogs. Like, do you have more than one brain cell?
Well, it's also interesting. The dogs that have the hardest time at the vet, in my opinion, like out of our dogs, actually do the best because we've worked on it so much. Where dogs that we don't really worry about too much, Ty, Remy, Meadow, They do not. We have such a hard time with, Journey does better at the vet than Meadow does because she's like whining and her eyes look like they're going to pop out of her head.
Yeah, and Ty, when he goes to the vet, he just shakes like a leaf the whole time. Yeah. He's very cooperative, and very sweet, but he shakes the whole time.
And it looks so much more stressful than when we take Journey to the vet or when we take Deacon to the vet or Twiggy to the vet. So it's interesting, dogs that do well in the home environment and you don't hyper fixate on like doing these things. When you do take them to the vet, you see different types of behaviors because they don't need the same structure at home the way Deacon does or Journey does.
Right. They haven't needed it, yes, so that we don't practice with them as much. Although they do have some, they certainly have some understanding of, all of our dogs are food motivated and work.
But we've worked 10 times harder on Deacon and Journey and Twiggy than we have with Ty because Ty loves fucking everybody. But at the vet, he's like not about it, which is like reasonable. Like I get it.
Right. It's just, so, I mean, if you have an anxious dog who's, it's a huge responsibility to have a dog who's not able to be handled by strangers. You know, I do not. If you have to muzzle my dog at the vet, I find that a tremendous failure on my part. So, this is part of the reason why I've worked so hard with Journey and Deacon specifically at the vet, because adding a muzzle to that experience makes it 10 times worse, or appears to make it 10 times worse to the dog. Again, we're not in their heads, but it certainly through their behavior, they're showing to me that it's a much more stressful event.
On the other hand, since we're moving into muzzles, it's the same rule applies to muzzles, right? So if you are taking your dog to the vet and the only experience they're having at the vet is with the muzzle, they're going to be worse at the vet with the muzzle because they're not used to it. Now they're even more stressed because something's on their face and they're feeling restrained. With Maya's dog, Eli, she specifically worked on muzzle training him in all aspects, in the house, walking, on the street, in the vet.
Does she always walk him on a muzzle?
No. So it would be intermittently. Sometimes she would walk him with a muzzle. Sometimes she wouldn't walk him with a muzzle. Sometimes she would be at home training him in the muzzle. Sometimes she wouldn't. Sometimes she would do games in the muzzle. So he associates the muzzle with fun and doing activities rather than the muzzle with I go to the vet and I get a muzzle put on me.
Yeah. So, I mean, certainly desensitizing if you
have to do it.
Powerful dog. A German Shepherd or a Pitty or a Rottweiler or something that is also does not like to be handled by strangers. Yes, you're going to have to basket muzzle them at the vet for everyone's safety. And again, that can't be just done at the vet. It needs to be a lifestyle so that you take that layer of stress away and everybody stays safe and the dog feels good.
And also, specifically, it's only been recently she hasn't been putting a muzzle on at the vet. And the reason she's put the muzzle on is because she's like, I noticed when I first got him, even though he's really good with people, like exceptionally good with people, the vets are nervous, like new vets are nervous around him. So if you get him desensitized to being used to the muzzle, she would just leave it on him to make everybody feel comfortable around him, even though he's not going to do anything. But if you act weird, he's going to be weird because you're acting weird. So she has left the muzzle on him when she takes him to the vet. And it's not recently that she's had a relationship with this vet that the vet actually was like, does he need the muzzle? And she goes, no, but I don't want to make sure everyone is comfortable.
I mean, you never want your dog to hurt somebody.
Exactly.
So yesterday when I was at the vet with Deacon and he was on the table and the vet assistant was there. Jacob doesn't work at the vet anymore, so we have to use a different vet assistant. He was sort of I was at Deacon's head and he was standing on his side, and a couple of times Deacon turned and looked right at the vet assistant's face, and he's eye level with him, right, because he's on the table. And I immediately put my hand up and just moved his head back to me. I was totally uncomfortable with Deacon's
eye contact
being right in a stranger's face.
Absolutely.
And this vet assistant who's very sweet, I would never do that as a vet assistant. I would never allow my face near another dog's face. I just wouldn't.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So I just very smoothly just put my hand up in between and moved his face back to me and then gave him treats and had him focus on me. I was very uncomfortable with that. So I get what Maya's saying. And of course, Eli is a very, very powerful dog, much more so than Deacon. It's more responsibility.
Yep. And also, because he's a Pitty and they have a reputation. And,
well-deserved reputation.
Yeah, and his head is huge. If anything happens, even if it isn't his fault, even if the vet tech's just fucking weird, he's getting blamed. So she's always just been comfortable having a muzzle on him, because she's like, I don't want him getting blamed, even if it isn't his fault. He will always be blamed every single time.
Right.
So you have to know what type of dog you're getting and be okay with the stereotypes that come with that dog breed, because it happens. It is what it is. If you're getting a German Shepherd or Rottweiler or a Pitty, or you have to understand the consequences of if that something happens, even if that isn't your dog's fault.
And people don't think that. They don't think. It's like having a loaded gun.
Yeah,
truly.
it literally is.
Yeah, which is why, although I love German Shepherds, I would never get one again. It's just too much responsibility.
I agree.
Part of talking about muzzles and me feeling like it's a failure if my dog has to be muzzled, that's part of why that vet experience with Journey was so terrible when she had her C-section. The first vet listened to me when I said, this will go better without a muzzle and with common sense protocols that we've set in place for this dog. Everyone will be calm and it'll be positive and no one will be in danger. The second vet, that horrible, disgusting place that was so terrible to her and to me, insisted on muzzling her, and not even a basket muzzle, a muzzle that actually holds your mouth shut,
which is so much scarier.
Which is so much. It's makes them feel even more anxious, and wouldn't listen to me. Of course, they didn't want to hear anything I had to say about how to handle this dog, and maybe there's a better way to do this so we can keep everybody calm.
And then on top of it, it made her have a terrible experience on the vet.
And then she bit somebody.
Yeah,
which she's never done in her life.
Never done in her life. And that's the thing where we talk a lot about, like, you need to find a vet that you trust, and do the best that you can, because even though you only bring your dog once a year to the vet, it's a non-negotiable. So you want them to have a good experience, and if they have a bad experience with you,
I think it's easier to find a vet you trust than being a good client, because if a vet was listening to this, they'd be shouting into their radio, going, "Be a good client."
Yeah, period.
And maybe I'll listen to you. Work with your dog so that your dog doesn't come in acting like a complete maniac.
Yeah, no.
Then complain that we have to muzzle and restrain the dog. It's like it's a two-way street.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
But because I think vets by and large have that experience, which is negative, when I come in as a trainer and a breeder, they have no capacity to listen to me, because their experience has been almost universally negative.
Well, and
people come in and start, quote, demanding
or
special
they
circumstances.
Just lie about their dog. That is I'm sorry, it's like a common thing. And I hear it all the time from Maya when she takes a dog in for grooming. Like, this guy came in with this Frenchie, and he was like, "Oh, he loves the bath. He loves the bath." And she goes, every single time a client comes to me and they say, your dog, they love baths, their dog is terrible in the bath. And so every time they say, "Oh, my dog loves baths, loves baths," she's prepared for the dog to be terrible. And 99.9% of the time, the dog's fucking terrible. And then she goes out to the owner and says, this, and this. Half the time they go, "Oh yeah, well, I forgot to tell you that. Oh, so you knew this shit and put me in danger." Secondly, or they say, "Oh, he's never done that before. He bit you? He's never done that before." And it's like, you're fucking lying. And now you're making your dog have a bad experience, where if you just were upfront and honest and was like, he doesn't really like water on his head, so if you can just wash his body and not wash his face, he'll have a better experience. Okay, perfect. Now I won't get accidentally bit because I didn't know that your dog didn't like his face wet.
Well, I told these people that Journey was going to bite them. I told them. And then they act surprised when she gets out of the muzzle and nails that girl in the arm. Well, what were you doing to her? I don't know how we've devolved into this. Anyway, I get so angry when I think about that experience. It goes away for periods of time, and then it just comes in my head again, and I just get angry all over again.
No, I don't blame you. I'd be really upset too.
But she'll never have to go through that again.
Nope.
All right. So let's get back to Gus. We've gone way... we're not even on a topic yet. We're just sort of talking. I think maybe we should get started, because we're going to have to end this in 15 minutes.
Okay, go ahead.
So I thought today we would talk about Gus, the way we already have been talking about how he is so wired to be a good dog. He's one of those rare dogs like Vivi who kind of can't be ruined. Like, within a reasonable, given his experience, he is an exceptional dog. Like, he is a good dog.
Like, I thought he was going to come in and be wiry and all over the place and not be able to control himself. And we would have to work on self-regulation. But he has great self-regulation.
I thought he would be terrible in the crate.
Yep.
I thought he would bark his head off morning, noon, and night. I thought he would be destructive when he was in the enclosure. I thought he would be.
I thought he wouldn't be able to housebreak.
Yeah, though that he was completely unhousebroken or, marking on things.
I thought he would be leash reactive.
A resource guarder.
Yep. I thought he wasn't going to be good with other dogs.
Yep. All of those things. He's none of those things. And I think that nobody can take credit for that. That is breeding. Now, that's not to say that he was an exceptionally bred dog, because we know he came from Amish puppy mills. However, a broken clock is right twice a day.
Yep.
Right? Every once in a while. Your dad had a Cocker Spaniel literally from a pet store back in the early 90s. And she was an exceptional Cocker Spaniel. Probably the nicest Cocker Spaniel I've ever known. Just a fantastic dog.
If we're going to correct me if I'm wrong, she did not get nose cancer, which is super common.
No, she was healthy.
She didn't get ear infections.
Nope.
Super common. With
Never got ear infections.
Her coat was beautiful. It didn't
never matted
like a Cocker Spaniel's did. She was a nice size, a nice color.
Not nasty, heart of gold.
Yep.
Got along with other dogs.
Yep.
Was biddable and sweet and lovely. And, so sometimes the genetic mix just is a winner. Mm-hmm. And I think that's certainly the case for Gus. That is also the case for Vivi. I can't really speak to the rest of our dogs because aside from Ty, who came from living in a kennel situation to living in a house, that's not abuse or neglect. It's just a different form of how dogs sometimes live. Vivi came from a terrible background.
Terrible.
And she is a one-of-a-kind dog. Now, that's not to say that, she's my favorite dog. But I can tell you that and of course I love all my dogs the same, which is the point.
Yes.
These are my favorite dog, you know what I mean?
So, but when we're talking about an exceptional dog, we're talking about overall, leadership skills, dog-to-dog skills, people-to-dog skills, de-escalation of conflict. She's just a born leader, and we thought as breeders genetically we could get another one.
Right, this is the kind of dog
this is
we want
exactly
in our program.
Exactly the type of dog we want in our program.
Right, but
genetically it does not pass on.
No.
And I'm
not that her puppies suck.
No,
but all of that exceptional those exceptional traits that she has by and large did not carry forward.
No. And I would have to say that the confidence that Vivian carries with her is genetically passed on.
Yes.
But the high level social skills are not passed on. And
let me say this. We don't know all of her puppies, right?
No.
We don't have a lot of contact with all of her puppies. We do have Twiggy.
Yeah.
So it's not that her great characteristics aren't carried on. It's that they're, say there's 6 characteristics that we love about Vivi. She maybe throw 2, right? So for Twiggy, she got the intelligence piece.
And she's super confident.
And the confidence piece, but didn't get any kind of diplomacy skills.
She overcorrects.
Yes, she's not.
Or doesn't correct enough.
Doesn't have great social skills with people or dogs. Mm-mm. She's fine.
Yes.
But not exceptional like Vivi.
No.
So some of those traits carried forward. But it was a game of Boggle, right? You just shake that can up and then see where you get 2 or you get 3 of the 6.
And then we've had her brother, and Twiggy's very much like her brother. It's like there was like you can tell genetically what parts were Deacon and what parts were Vivi. And
I don't like what Deacon passes on.
I don't like either. And I think it was a good thing we didn't get too many litters out of him because
he's an exceptionally beautiful dog.
Yeah, but
and I love him dearly. He's a great dog, but I didn't like some of the traits he passed on.
He has a little bit of an edge to him.
He absolutely has an edge to him.
And that's not always compatible with people's lifestyles.
And, maybe Vivi has an edge too. We just don't see it because she covers it up so well by having so many other skills. That might be it.
Yeah.
But Vivi is a one-of-a-kind dog. We'll never replace that dog.
Nope.
I mean, I love all of my dogs and they're unique and wonderful in their own ways. But Vivi is a once-in-a-lifetime dog.
I mean, Vivi is the dog that if a dog's really anxious or we don't know if a dog's going to be good with other dogs, we bring Vivian out. Because if she is really reserved around, like she tells you a lot about stuff that we don't see as humans to dogs behavior-wise. So if we bring Vivi outside with a dog that we don't know is going to be great with other dogs and she's shy and wants to leave, that dog's not great with other dogs and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, she's an incredible barometer.
In Gus's case, she's really good at being I don't want to say aloof, but neutral. So when he's anxious, she'll let him overly smell even when it's inappropriate because she knows that he's anxious. And if she moves too fast or corrects him for oversmelling, a fight might happen. And she wants to de-escalate as easily as possible.
She's just incredibly savvy.
I mean, we could literally just videotape her outside and talk about her social skills in depth.
Yeah, you could do a whole podcast just on Vivi. And I say she's once in a lifetime dog for me, for sure. And I sort of feel like that's not to say that other of our dogs are not my heart dogs. And, I don't love them in their own beautiful, unique ways. I love all my dogs equally. And that's what I mean, that she's not necessarily my favorite, Mm-hmm. I love them all the same. I am in awe of her skills, though.
Yeah, she has.
I think that's the difference. Skills. I don't love her more or less. I love everybody the same, but I am in awe of the, if say there are 6, let's say there are 10 perfect skills that a dog can have to make them really a fabulous. Most dogs would end up with maybe 5. The dogs that are really difficult end up with 2 or 1, right? Very few dogs come with all 10 of those traits, and she's got all 10 of them. She's really an exceptional dog, and she came to us at 3 from a very awful background.
I mean, she was bounced around all over the place for the first 3 years of her life.
And literally almost starved to death.
Starved to death, chained outside, lived in the house, bred ethically, bred unethically. I mean, fuck. And she's wonderful.
Still Vivi, she still is Vivi through and through. And I think that, I'm not saying Gus has all those qualities, although he's got a lot of them.
He got a lot.
He really is an exceptional, exceptional dog. And fortunately for him, there was no screwing him up.
Yeah, no.
So he's going to make somebody a great, great pet.
He really is. He's just wonderful. And I mean, once we get out some of these quirks, like, I mean, when we talk a lot about like rating dogs. So like, for example, this is not super accurate, but if like I'm going to rate Twiggy on like quality skills that make her an exceptional dog to go into any household, she struggles, which is partly why we've had such a hard time rehoming her. She's wary around men. That's deductive points. She's super high drive and intelligent, which is a positive point. She is leash reactive, which is a deduction, even though it can be managed.
It's 100% managed.
It's 100% managed, but she is still like...
But the handler has to be somewhat skilled.
You have to be savvy. Trying to think of...
She's a bit of a bully.
She's such a bully.
It's completely manageable with a savvy owner. But the problem with Twiggy is those savvy owners are very
they know
few
what they're
and far
looking
between.
At.
And when they see her or hear about her, they go, yeah, no thanks.
Yeah.
Because they know exactly how much work she is.
She's a lot of work.
And likely they already have 1 or 2 dogs like that. I mean, that's sort of just how the chips fall.
And like, she was my first dog. So, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I did, when people say socialize them, get them out in the world, get them with other dogs of all different sizes and shapes, train them, I did every single thing in the book. And you can do everything right, and it's a living thing, and they're going to do what they're going to do.
There's still a genetic component that you can't change.
You can't change
so
genetically
I think,
who they are.
As far as Twiggy goes, I mean, her issue is that she's in a multi-dog household, one of the dogs, she is her mortal enemy. Mm-hmm. That's the problem.
And she's made her mortal enemy.
Yeah, no, Twiggy's completely at fault here.
Journey did not do fucking anything. Journey just existed, and she decided, you are the weakest link, and I'm going to pick on you.
She confused Journey's desire to be non-confrontational with weakness.
Yeah.
That's Twiggy's problem. That is right there is exactly the problem with Twiggy, is that she fundamentally misread that situation. And Journey woke up one day and said, I have had enough of this. And Twiggy started it, but Journey finished it. So,
and she got her ass beat too.
She got her ass beat.
Journey had nothing on her. Twiggy had
No, she didn't. So that right there shows you the difference between Vivi and Twiggy, right? Vivi analyzes a situation, obviously not consciously, accurately. She's very accurate in figuring out what's going on. Twiggy is more than not completely inaccurate when assessing another dog.
No, she's every single time I put her with the group, I have to help her with deciding that she just makes terrible decisions.
She does because she doesn't. She's not accurate in her assessment of what's going on.
No, it's and then it's like the dogs that she should correct, she doesn't, and the dogs that she does never needs to correct, she decides that she's going to correct that dog in the most inappropriate way, and you're like, what the fuck? This dog's perfect. Why are you correcting this dog for the most minor infraction? Where this other dog's trying to hump you and you literally don't give a shit.
Well, so that's kind of my point with you raising her. She's an exceptional dog because you raised her. Mm-hmm. Had she been raised in another person's home, likely she'd be the only dog.
Yep.
Right? She'd be loud when people came over. They probably wouldn't walk her. They'd just have her in a fenced yard. And so those things that makes her difficult here would have largely been managed in another home in a different way. Mm-hmm. But she wouldn't, be nearly as talented and well trained.
Well, and have a fulfilled life. I don't doubt that she doesn't have a fulfilled life living here. She interacts with the dogs. She has
more of a life here with the times that she has to be separated than many dogs have. Living full time as the only dog.
Yep.
But for us, it makes us mildly uncomfortable. It is easier without Ruby here because Ruby needed to be separated as well, and separated from Twiggy because Twiggy's a bit of a bully.
Yep.
So that made it, doubly hard. But now that Ruby has passed away, it's much easier with just managing Twiggy in and out of the group throughout the day in a safe way.
Yep. And now that we can just walk out of our house and go for a walk, which is so nice.
Yeah, no, I mean, Twiggy is an extremely intelligent. She's a gifted athlete. She's an amazing dog.
She is.
She's just a lot.
She is.
So
for my first
Vivi,
dog.
on the other hand, Vivi is not terribly well trained, but she listens very well.
Yeah.
Because again, she understands which side her bread is buttered on. Yeah. She knows exactly what she needs to do to stay in my good graces. She's sort of unconsciously analyzed all that. I know exactly what I need to do until this woman says, enough, I called you 50 times, come.
Yeah. Okay. Kind of to go back to our topic, I know we're kind of bouncing all over the place.
Yeah, we got 2 minutes. We got to wind this up.
Maybe I shouldn't start this conversation. But it's interesting that Vivian's an amazing dog, and we bred her with Deacon thinking that they would kind of cancel out traits and create this ultimate amazing dog. Not that they didn't create other amazing dogs, but wasn't our goal in our breeding program. And Journey, who's super wary with people and super reserved, and we've had to work really hard with her, has created phenomenal puppies. And I would just never guessed that Journey would have been the key. Journey and Ty would be the key to creating these amazing dogs that we've had the last couple litters that we're like super proud of.
Well, Journey's last litter was with that new stud. Mm-hmm. And they're really leggy, those dogs.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah.
They're not the prettiest dogs in the world, but they are the sweetest, most lovely litter we've ever bred.
Smart,
and then you talk about Evie's litter. That litter is phenomenal.
Yeah,
that litter is physically what I'm after, temperamentally what I'm after. But Journey's last litter with I forget his name. What's his name? Ghost?
Yes.
He Ghost? Is it Ghost? I guess so. Those puppies are just the sweetest things. And Kent's going to come back soon. He'll be here with us for a month. Yeah. And Penny just left. Penny's just a great dog. Yeah. They're completely charming.
No, they're wonderful. I mean,
they just have to fold. They have to fold those long cricket legs.
I know.
They got to grow into those legs.
Those legs are so long.
But I saw Kent and Petey, and they look like they're on stilts.
Oh my god! Well, but like the beauty of that specifically litter is easily crate trained, easily housebroken, easily
just biddable in every way.
Every single way, they're like, okay, no problem. Mm-hmm. Not like the most easiest puppies to rear.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Yeah, we got to wind this up. I got to go.
Okay.
All right, so we really kind of didn't have a topic.
No, we were bouncing around.
Basically, genetics are super important. That's the topic.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I'm on a time crunch today, so I got to go. But we will see you next time on Dog for Thought. Bye. Dog for Thought is written and hosted by me, Sarah Brown, co-hosted by Sophie Brown, produced, edited, and original music by Jacob Brown. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.